Learn to take what you want from women, 99% of the time. Machiavelli didn't play games. He didn't leave things to chance. And he sure as hell didn't beg. He built a system, a war plan, 500 years ago that worked for kings, princes, and ruthless leaders, and it still works today. Why? Because it's not about luck. It's about understanding power at its core, and bending it to your will. While weak men grovel and hope for crumbs of attention, you're going to master the same psychological weapons that the most dangerous men in history used to command loyalty, respect, and desire. Secret number 1: stop begging. Start leading. I'm about to rip apart the biggest lie you've been fed about women, and it's the reason most men fail miserably. They approach women like beggars, not leaders. And beggars get ignored. Leaders get followed. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "It's better to be feared than loved." In relationships, that translates to this: it's better to be respected than needed. And here's the life-changing truth: women don't respond to requests. They respond to expectations. When you ask, "Can I take you out?" you've already lost. When you say, "Would you like to go to the movies with me?" you've already surrendered all control. You're begging for permission like a servant. A man of power doesn't ask, he declares. You say, "Friday night, I'm hitting that new restaurant downtown. Come with me." That's not arrogance, it's leadership. That's not cocky, it's decisive. Why does it work? Because it strikes something primal in her brain. Women are wired to follow confidence and authority. You're flipping the biological switch that makes her see you as the man in control. And here's the hard truth most men can't handle: if she's not interested, walk. Don't send a second message. Don't check in. Don't try to convince her. Kings don't chase peasants, they choose their queen. Every second you spend chasing is another second you bleed respect. Machiavelli knew this: real power is in the ability to walk away without hesitation. When she realizes you don't need her validation, your value in her eyes explodes. You stop being another guy and become a man she must win over. Ask yourself, have you ever seen a CEO ask for permission before making a decision? No. He makes the call, and others adapt. You want women to follow you? Then adopt the Machiavellian mindset: know exactly what you want, and state it without apology. Secret 2: speak the language of her emotions, not her logic. Now that you understand how to lead with expectations instead of begging, it's time to arm yourself with a weapon far more dangerous: the secret language that melts a woman's resistance without her even realizing it. Machiavelli said men are ruled by their eyes. Women? They're ruled by their emotions. And yet 95% of men approach them with logic, facts, credentials, and boring pitches like, "I have a good job. I'm responsible. I'll treat you well. Congratulations. You've just turned seduction into a job interview." Women don't choose with their brains. They choose with their gut, the raw, emotional pull that makes them obsess over a man they barely know. And only then do they justify that choice with logic. If you want her hooked, stop selling. Start sparking. Trigger curiosity. Create an itch she needs to scratch. Instead of asking, "So, what do you do?" drop something like, "You have that dangerous look, like you've broken more rules than you'd ever admit." This isn't a question, it's a psychological trap. It forces her to engage, to prove herself, to reveal a side of her she doesn't show every man. You've just flipped the frame, now she's chasing your approval. Why does it hit so hard? Because women are wired to want to be discovered. Not interrogated. Not judged. Understood? Mystery is your nuclear weapon. Reveal yourself in layers, never all at once. Machiavelli thrived on uncertainty, because uncertainty keeps people off balance, and craving clarity. Tell her just enough to keep her asking questions. Drop small, calculated pieces of your life story, but never the full picture. Make her earn each page of the book that is you. The moment she feels she's figured you out, you're done. Predictable is forgettable. Mysterious is addictive. So don't dump your life story in the first hour. Don't list your goals, your feelings, your childhood. Instead, let her discover new sides of you every time you meet. Every reveal should feel like peeling back another layer of something rare and dangerous. Because the man she can't figure out is the man she can't stop thinking about. The art of making her give you everything without asking. The weapon of contrast. How to hook her. At the core, we start with contrast, the most underused yet lethal tool in emotional influence. In war, you never attack from the same position twice. In seduction, you never show her the same version of you every time. Machiavelli understood this from observing rulers. A prince who is only feared eventually breeds rebellion, and a prince who is only loved invites manipulation. But the ruler who can switch between command and compassion keeps his people eternally on edge, loyal yet uncertain, safe yet addicted. You must apply this exact principle to women. Too dominant, and she will submit but never open her heart. Too vulnerable, and she will like you but never desire you. But combine commanding dominance with calculated vulnerability, and you become a walking paradox she can't stop chasing. Here's how you execute it. Step 1. Establish command early. From the first interaction, you decide. You set the direction. If she asks, "What do you want to do?" you answer with certainty, "I know a place you'll love. Meet me there at 8. This stamps authority on your presence. Step 2. Slip in strategic vulnerability. Once she's under the spell of your leadership, drop subtle moments of openness. Example. "You know, I don't tell many people this, but when I was starting out, I nearly lost everything, but I refused to quit." This contrast keeps her in an emotional loop. One moment you're untouchable, the next you're letting her glimpse your humanity. She can't predict you, so she keeps coming back to figure you out. 2. The battlefield of emotion where desire is won. Machiavelli knew the real battles are never fought with armies alone, they are fought in the minds of the people. With women, the battlefield is not her logic. It's her emotional circuitry. The fatal mistake men make is thinking that attraction is a negotiation. They list credentials: "I'm successful, I'll treat you right, I have plans for the future." That's begging for a job. You don't want her approval. You want her emotional surrender. Women don't fall in love with facts. They fall in love with emotional states. They fall for how you make them feel in your presence. This is why contrast is so lethal. It keeps her emotional state in motion. She feels safe, she relaxes. She feels challenged, she invests. She feels uncertain, she chases clarity. And here's the hook. You must never give her total clarity. 3. The law of strategic rewards. Now we move into the mechanics of making her give you what you want without asking. This is where Machiavellian seduction becomes pure psychological warfare. Humans, and especially women, value what they must fight to keep. This is why empires hoard gold, why rulers control access to themselves, why the rarest wine is the most desired. You are that rare wine. And you must train her to understand that access to you, your time, your attention, your affection is something to be earned. How to execute: reward only desired behavior. If she shows genuine enthusiasm, replies quickly, makes effort, reward with more of your time, attention, and energy. Withdraw when behavior declines. If she becomes slow, distracted, distant, you instantly reduce your availability. Not in anger. Not in pettiness. Just a calm shift of focus away from her. This is not punishment, it's leadership. You're training her emotional brain to link effort with reward. Over time, she will unconsciously compete for your attention. 4. The scarcity principle: make yourself a privilege. Scarcity creates value. Always. When she believes she can have you anytime, your value plummets. When she knows she might lose you, your value skyrockets. This doesn't mean ghosting her. This means implicit scarcity. Don't reply instantly every time. Don't always accept last-minute plans. Don't let her assume your schedule revolves around hers. Your availability should feel like a prize, not a default setting. Example: she says, "Let's meet tonight." You answer, "I'd like that. Let me see if I can fit it. I've got a lot going on right now." This doesn't reject her, it positions your life as full, meaningful, and selective. 5. The art of making it her idea. Here's where Machiavelli's genius reaches its peak. He often wrote letters to powerful rulers in such a way that they felt the decisions they made were their own, when in truth, he had guided them to that exact choice. You must do the same. The most devastating way to get a woman to give you what you want is to make her believe it was her idea all along. Example: instead of saying, "I want to see you," you say, "I bet you'd look incredible in that dress, but I doubt you're bold enough to prove it." Now sending you that photo becomes her challenge, her choice, her victory. This eliminates resistance because there's nothing for her to defend against. There's no direct request to reject. Instead, you've planted a seed that grows in her own mind until she acts on it. 6. Why this works brutally well. This system works because it attacks the 3 deepest drivers of human behavior: the need to earn value. She invests in you because your approval must be earned. The fear of loss scarcity makes her fight harder to keep your attention. The illusion of control, making it feel like her idea, removes resistance and deepens commitment. 7. Practical scenarios and execution. Scenario 1. She pulls away. Weak men chase. Leaders withdraw. You reward interest, not absence. She will either return stronger or eliminate herself. Either way, you win. Scenario 2. She tests you. She might cancel plans to see if you'll break. You respond, "That's fine. I'll use the time to get other things done. Let me know when you're free again." Calm, unmoved, still in control. Scenario 3. She asks for more. She wants more time, more intimacy, more connection. You give it slowly, in measured doses, making each increase feel earned. 8. The trap of controlled chaos. If you want to keep a woman emotionally hooked, you must master controlled chaos, the ability to keep her environment just unstable enough that she's always working to regain your approval. Think of it like a general controlling the battlefield. Too much stability, and your enemy grows complacent. Too much chaos, and your army loses loyalty. The perfect balance is unpredictability within structure. She knows you are steady in your core values, your mission, your ambition, your leadership, but she never fully knows what your next emotional move will be. One day, you surprise her with warmth and praise. The next, you're more distant and focused on your own world. This isn't moodiness, it's calculated emotional pacing. When she can't perfectly predict your reactions, her brain stays engaged. Every encounter becomes a test she wants to pass. Every moment with you becomes a potential high. 9. The value ladder. Women, like all humans, measure worth based on the cost to obtain it. If something is given freely and without effort, it becomes background noise. If something is earned through effort, it becomes a prize. You must build your interaction like a value ladder. Step 1. Your attention is available in small doses for free, just enough to spark interest. Step 2. More attention requires more investment, consistent interest, effort, and energy from her. Step 3. Deeper emotional access requires trust and exclusivity. Step 4. Physical intimacy, once earned, is treated as a privilege she must maintain. The genius of this system is that it mirrors how rare art, fine wine, or elite clubs operate. Access is limited, and membership can be revoked at any time. 10. The silence gambit. Weak men panic in silence. Machiavellian men use it as a blade. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is a tactical weapon. When you deliberately go silent after a high point in conversation or after an intense interaction, you plant seeds in her mind that grow in your absence. She begins to replay your words, your expressions, your tone. She wonders why you've gone quiet. The less you explain, the more her imagination fills in the gaps, and the imagination is far more powerful than any direct statement. An example: after a charged exchange, simply say, "You'll understand later," and leave it there. The uncertainty will haunt her until she seeks you out again. 11. The mirror effect. Machiavelli used the desires of others to control them. You can use this with women by becoming a mirror for her highest self-image. Find the part of her personality she values most. Maybe she sees herself as adventurous, intelligent, rebellious, nurturing, and reflect that back in subtle ways. Say to the adventurous one, "Most women wouldn't have the courage to pull that off, but you're not like most women, are you?" She will work to keep living up to that reflection. The more you reinforce this identity, the more she will seek your presence, because you make her feel like the best version of herself. 12. The Machiavellian endgame. Everything you've learned up to this point: contrast, scarcity, making it her idea, controlled chaos, the value ladder, silence. The mirror has one goal: to make her invest so deeply that she ties her identity to your presence. When she feels she is her most desired, most valued, most alive self when she's with you, she won't just want you, she'll fear losing you. And fear is the most powerful form of loyalty. This isn't about cruelty. This isn't about exploitation. This is about commanding desire through mastery of human nature. The same principles that kept kings on their thrones can keep you in the position of control in your relationships. Machiavelli's final truth is this: men forget the death of their father sooner than the loss of their patrimony. With women, replace patrimony with emotional investment. She will forgive arguments, disagreements, even mistakes, but she will not forgive the feeling of losing the man who made her feel more alive than anyone else. Your job is to become that man. 13. Closing the trap. Tactical moves that seal the power dynamic. You've established leadership. You've used contrast to hook her emotions. You've trained her through strategic rewards and scarcity. Now, it's time to lock in the frame so deeply that she begins protecting your position in her life instead of challenging it. This is the point where most men either get complacent or overplay their hand. A Machiavellian man does neither. He knows that once control is gained, it must be maintained through constant, subtle reinforcement. Move 1. The illusion of choice. Never give her real power over the relationship dynamic. Give her the illusion of choice. If you want her to agree to dinner, don't say, "Do you want to get dinner?" That's surrender. Instead, "We're getting dinner. Do you want Italian or Thai?" This keeps you as the decision maker while letting her feel like she's participating. The psychology here is brutal. people defend decisions they feel they made themselves even if you crafted every option. Move 2. The strategic push-pull. Push-pull is not hot and cold randomness, it's deliberate emotional tension. Push, challenge her, tease her, lightly withdraw your attention. Pull, reward her with affection, praise, and focused presence. Example, she's playfully acting like she's hard to get. You smirk. You're trouble. But I like trouble. Pull. Then, without warning, you turn your attention to something else for a moment. Push, her brain stays engaged because she's constantly adjusting to maintain your focus. Move 3. The frame trap. The frame is the reality in which the interaction exists. If you let her set it, you're playing in her world. If you set it, she's living in yours. When she tries to pull you into her frame, for example, why do you always get your way? You smile, because my way is more fun. You never explain. You never defend. You simply reassert your frame until she stops questioning it and starts playing along. Move 4. The anchoring effect. Anchor powerful emotional moments to your presence. Example, if she experiences a high, a deep laugh, a wild adventure, a meaningful moment, you lock it to yourself. No one else could have pulled that off. You and me. Dangerous combination. Her brain begins linking the emotional high to you, making you the trigger for her best feelings. This is why she will crave your presence even when she doesn't understand why. Move 5. The withdrawal test. Once she's heavily invested, perform the withdrawal test. Reduce your presence for a short time, a day, a few days, without explanation. If she responds with more effort, more messages, more eagerness when you return, you've passed. Your value has been proven in her mind. If she reacts with coldness or detachment, she was never truly locked in, and you've saved yourself from wasting further investment. 14. The Machiavellian mindset. Never forget the throne. A king doesn't fight for his crown every day, but he never forgets that there are always forces trying to take it. In relationships, this means you never slip into complacency. The moment you stop leading, the dynamic erodes. The moment you become predictable, she becomes bored. So you keep the tension alive. You keep the mystery intact. You keep the power balance tilted in your favor, not through cruelty, but through unshakable self-respect and mastery of influence. Because in the end, Machiavelli's greatest truth still applies: it is much safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. With women, you don't choose one, you weave them together until she respects your leadership and craves your presence. That's the point where she gives you what you want, without you ever asking.